Hi everyone, it's Rachel Nelson from Gatehouse here. As interview season approaches, for some reason, Wharton's team-based discussion makes people particularly anxious. So as a Wharton alum and as someone who over the years has moderated many mock team-based discussions, I wanted to provide you some tips. The first and most important is to remember that it's not a zero-sum game. You are not competing against the other people in your session. It's entirely possible for your whole group to be admitted to Wharton, and that would be the ideal outcome. So you want to work hard to put your own best foot forward, but you can absolutely do the same for the people in your group as well. That means call out a great idea if you hear it. That means building on somebody's idea if there's something that you have to add. And it just means generally trying to be helpful and facilitate the group outcome. One really easy way to do this is to make sure that you pay attention to people's names when they introduce themselves at the beginning so that you can refer to them by name when you have something to add. A second thing I would recommend is to take time in advance to prepare your pitch. Seems obvious, but actually plenty of people don't do this and then are surprised. Wharton gives you a bit of a head start by telling you in advance what the prompt will be. So take your time and be thoughtful about what you're proposing, what your idea is. A great place to start is by picking something that you're familiar with. It could be a country, a region, or even an industry that you know well. Maybe a place that you've lived, worked, visited, or a deal that you've done. But if it does have special significance, you may also want to call that out briefly as well. Then I would think about your audience. So this is business school. We are very focused on marketing. Who will your target audience be? Who will your customer be? Who will want to take your idea and participate in it? So what will that person be looking for? Your customer will have other options that they can choose from. And so you want to think about designing an idea that is appealing to your end customer. You'll also want to be prepared if your idea is chosen. So you want to have laid out what it looks like, but you may want to have a little bit more information than you share in your initial introduction. So you may want to have thought through companies that you might meet with, or community organizations, government organizations. You might think about cultural activities that you participate in. So if your idea is chosen, you will become a de facto leader of the group. And the discussion doesn't have to be driven by you, and it doesn't have to match your ideas, but you do want to be in a position to facilitate your idea because you will be looked to as the expert. So I would say it's very important to be prepared if your idea is selected, but it's equally important to be prepared if your idea is not, which is the much more likely scenario. Whether or not your idea is selected has no bearing on whether or not you're going to be admitted to Wharton. So you want to listen respectfully to the other ideas, make your opinion heard, but at the end of the day, if the consensus choice is something else that's not your own idea, go with the group, support the decision, add great input, and help move that conversation forward. So hopefully going in with a strong pitch will make you feel confident. But if you're feeling really nervous, one top tip I tell clients is to consider taking a more structured role. So an example would be note taker or timekeeper. They're roles that allow you to chime in at specific intervals. Keep in mind, somebody else might want to take one of these roles. I would say in particular, the timekeeper role is often one that's shared by multiple people in the group. So you don't want to be rigid in your choice, but just be prepared to think of ways to make sure that your voice is heard if you expect that you won't be the loudest voice in the room. So in terms of, the bulk of the team-based discussion will be actually sitting in a group with your prospective classmates, but keep in mind that there is a one-on-one that follows. So you want to make sure that you leave time in your preparation to think about that as well. It's short, it's sweet, it'll be about 10 minutes long, and it generally covers the basics. So you want to have nailed down your answers to questions like why Wharton, why business school, and in particular, questions around your goals. So your short and your long-term goals and how Wharton will help you achieve them. Finally, my last bit of advice, and it's pretty straightforward, is just always try to have fun, do your best to enjoy the session, and make the most of your time with your future classmates, and that will reflect well on you and hopefully make the session more enjoyable for your fellow participants as well. And with that, I wish you lots of luck.